Good morning. Today I'm gonna make some rhubarb coffee cake. I've already made this once before this season and it was really good. I didn't think I would like cooking or baking with rhubarb. Maybe it's just because I've heard that it's really tart. It's not the best thing to be cooking with. I don't know if it's a fruit or a vegetable. I'm guessing a vegetable, but it's got a fruity tart flavor. Anyways, I just wasn't looking forward to using this. I actually thought I had dug up the whole of the rhubarb plant from my backyard. I don't mind having it in the front where I have a lot of space to fill out, but in the backyard garden, that's an area that I wanted to reserve for other plants, and the rhubarb just came back. I seriously thought I dug all of it out. I have a video of it from last year, but it came back super strong in a couple of places around there. Anyway, so I've been harvesting it. I still do want to fully get rid of it from that backyard, but after baking the coffee cake like a couple of weeks ago and really loving it, I figured I am definitely going to be using this a lot more than I once thought. So I harvested these stalks yesterday. I just pulled them out from the gardens. The way you want to harvest rhubarb, by the way, is not to cut it off at the base. Each of these like stalks with the leaf attached to it, you kind of want to just take a stalk and twist it out, and that encourages it to be really, like you can see I get the end here. It really pulls it from the bottom, whereas you know it might only be easy to cut it up from here if you're trying to cut it off of the plant, but when you pull it from the bottom it encourages other leaves and other shoots to come out. It's better to harvest by just pulling and twisting. You get more rhubarb harvest from your plant each year. So I got it pulled out yesterday. I washed it up a bit. I'm just gonna cut off the ends, put it in the compost. And you definitely wanna cut the leaves off of it. The leaves are toxic. They're toxic to your pets. They're toxic to you. Just wash your hands if you touch it, if you get any like of the sap or liquid on your hands. Some people are kind of sensitive to it. They get a bit of a rash. So throw the leaves in the compost, keep the stalks. They're best when they are kind of young and thinner. They can get, and I've still harvested them just because I want to get rid of that plant. When they're thicker, they get a little less tasty, and when they're younger and thinner, they are a little more tasty. I can't really tell the difference, at least not yet. I haven't eaten rhubarb a ton yet. Rhubarb starts to taste worse after it goes to flower. So you wanna make sure it doesn't go to flower. If you see a flower stalk coming up, just try and cut it off. But if you keep harvesting the leaves, the stalks, then it'll be putting its energy into that rather than into the flowers. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this. I'll put the ingredients down in the description below, and I'll just walk you through the steps. Okay, I think I've got about 2.5 cups here. And something to note, this is something I was a little bit confused about as well. The green stalks are ripe. Green doesn't mean not ripe. You can really harvest and use the rhubarb stalks at any stage of their development. As soon as you see it up, they'll just be smaller if you pull them young, but green does not mean not ripe. So you can go ahead and use this. It's just really the variety depends. The variety will dictate what color stalks you have. So it can be just white and red, white and pink, pink and green, or like a mixture of all of those. Mine's like somewhere in the middle of like red and green and pink and white-ish. You know, that's just the variety. And I'm not sure what variety of rhubarb I have. This is just something that was already growing in the garden once we moved in. And now I ended up with a lot more of it than I wanted. I wanted to get rid of it, but I actually ended up with a lot more because I kind of divided it and separated it into other places. And now it's still coming up in the original place. Anyways, this is how you get rhubarb. You see a neighbor who has rhubarb and you ask them for some. You ask them to cut you off a piece with the roots, and they really just quickly grow and spread. Okay, I made my batter. I folded in the rhubarb pieces. I put it into this baking tray. I think this is a 9x13. I am not fully sure. I just realized the glass baking dish that I was going to use, we have chicken in it right now in the fridge. So I pulled this out of storage. It was Brendan's from before we lived together. I just rubbed a little bit of butter onto the baking tray, and then I spread out the cake mix, the coffee cake mix. And now I'm gonna make the crumble topping for this. It's flour, sugar, cinnamon, and butter. I'll put the ingredient amounts in the description below. What I do for butter is I freeze the stick of butter and then I just grate it into that crumble topping because you want it to be cut up into little pieces, and it's just hard to do that with a fork when you're mixing that whole crumble mixture together. So grating it in just makes it a lot easier. I have the butter in the fridge. I'll see if it's ready to do now, and then I'll just go ahead and make it. This butter has only been in the freezer for maybe 20 minutes, just as long as I've been putting together these ingredients. So it's already frozen, it's really quick to do, and it's a lot easier to get it cut up into this mixture. I'm trying to think. I'll try this. Okay, it's kind of mixed in enough. There's still some big chunks of butter where it kind of just lumped together a little bit. I'll just make sure as I'm spreading it across the top that the butter is kind of evenly spread out. I've feel like maybe that was a bit too much of this topping. I wish I could just go back and scoop some up. So now it's gonna go in the oven at 350 degrees for 45 to 50 minutes. So it burnt. I totally forgot that our oven is broken and I have not been putting things in for as long as it says I should, like the recipe calls for. I've been like dramatically reducing the amount of time because our oven, it's an electrical oven and that heating coil at the bottom just stays on. It doesn't go on and off like to keep the temperature like it's supposed to, and it just ramps up the temperature. Even though it'll say it's staying, for example, for this recipe at 350, it's that coil stays on, so it gets a lot hotter than that in there. And then I think what happened was all of the sugar burnt off the top for the crumble, which is such a shame because that's the best part, honestly. I think what we're gonna do with this, we're gonna eat it still. We don't waste food like that, so we'll just cut off the top. Hopefully get a lot of this burnt stuff, which is not good for your health. You know, has a lot of carcinogens, and fully take that out. Probably take off the sides as well, and maybe only eat the center part, whatever looks good. I'm a little bummed because I should have known. I mean, I've been cooking in this and I've been monitoring things and, you know, turning it off way earlier than I normally do. And I just totally spaced out this time. So I'll film round 2 when I get around to it again, after we finish eating this. Good thing that I have a ton of rhubarb, so this will be an easy recipe to make again. And I have all the ingredients. We always have them on hand, so I don't know what I'm gonna do with this or with this footage, even with this cake. Okay, now I'm gonna go distract myself with some other garden chores. I need to mow. I think I might mow tonight or today. I need to go to the community garden and get a lot more planted. Then I need to mow the backyard as well. I need to figure out how to use the weed whacker. Okay, just kidding. I'm not gonna film this again or cook this. I mean, I will cook this again soon, but I want to get this video out. I am just gonna show you how I'm dressing up and fixing this baking mistake for the rhubarb cake. So I've already started oh, you can see the piece that I have taken out and had for lunch earlier today. What I'm doing now is I'm just scraping off all the burnt crumble, and although that's like the best part, I don't want to eat anything that's burnt, just for health reasons, not even for the taste. Also the taste, it's very overwhelming to eat something that's burnt. And I'm just cutting the good pieces from the middle. Just give myself a couple of pieces. I'm not going to eat these right now, but I do want to plate it up and show you how I'm trying to make it a little bit prettier. I have 2 pieces in here. It doesn't look so bad, but I'm going to have it with some vanilla yogurt. That's my favorite way to eat it. And I also have just picked some viola and pansy flowers from some of my plants in the garden, and I'm going to use that to garnish. But first I'm going to make the vanilla yogurt. I don't have some on hand. I like to buy vanilla yogurt already mixed up, but I have some plain Greek yogurt, and I'm just going to mix this into a bowl with a little bit of vanilla extract. I haven't tried that before, but I just Googled it and it sounds like it works. That might be a little bit too much. I'll just add a little bit more yogurt in. think that's a good amount of vanilla. It honestly could use some sugar. It's still very tangy because it's just plain. Actually, I am gonna go ahead and put some sugar in it just to make it really good. Honey would work too. It's just that honey gives it a very distinct flavor, and I'm looking for just a nice vanilla yogurt kind of flavor. It's good. It could use some more sugar, but there's already enough sugar in this cake, so I'm just gonna leave it a little tart. The rhubarb in here is tart as well. I would say just do it to your own taste, your own liking. If you're doing this, I would buy vanilla yogurt straight from the store. I like Chobani vanilla yogurt. So I have the cake and the yogurt in. Let me add some flowers to make it pretty. I really like these dark viola flowers. They're from Brush Strokes Mix. And this is what Brendan and I will eat for dessert. He's still at work, working. He works so late. It's already 9 p.m. Can you believe that it's 9 p.m. by the way? Do you see how much light is coming in from the window? This is the afternoon sun, and there's a lot of it. This is, you know, middle of summer. It's almost summer solstice, so this is like peak time for daylight hours. It's pretty deceptive. One thing I would ask of you is not to believe that I've eaten all this cake just in a few hours. It probably doesn't look like much time has passed, but it definitely has. I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy a little bit of this and then save it for later for when Brendan comes back. Oh, also, I want to end the video with just a few clips from this past weekend. Brendan and I and some of his family was up here visiting. We went on a cruise of the Kenai Fjords, and it was just so pretty.
Isn't that the name of the boat they told us to get on?
Where were we supposed to be on?
It felt like being in a National Geographic documentary, you know, like Our Planet or something like that, Arctic Planet. That used to be like my dream job, is to go and make nature, you know, biology documentaries.
The population is pretty good, especially down in southeast. They find them out in the oceans as well. Here in south central Alaska, their numbers are in decline. And the researchers aren't 100% sure. They do know it's dietary.
And I did go into biology. I studied molecular and cell biology, for those that you don't know, but I didn't end up working in it. Whatever, you know, my life took a different path, but it was still so much fun to be out there. It was just a great experience. I felt really close to nature. It was just gorgeous. You know, it makes you really feel like comfortably small in this big world and in this beautiful world. Like, my own problems aren't that big of a deal. They're passing, they're transient, we're all transient, and things are gonna go back to the way it was, and I don't have to be so anxious about it. Or, well, I mean, definitely humanity is having an impact on the planet, not always a good one, but all that aside, it's just still really amazing to be out there. So enjoy these clips, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Ready? And then come fall and winter, when they head out to sea, the wave conditions pick up dramatically out here and wash all that rock off, taking their nests with them, cleaning the rock, and providing a new bed surface for the following year.
really good. Shit, I should have taken a photo of this before I dug in.